Single Shot Sunday, and it's also the Marine Corps' 249th birthday, November 10th, 1775, the day the Marine Corps was alive. This was a bunch of guys in a tavern deciding, hey, let's set this up. And they did. And ever since then, it's been the toughest infantry unit on the planet. And there's no dispute there. Army guys, you got a big army or whatnot, but everybody knows you want shit done, you call the Marines. So, I was thinking about this. A lot of your streaming services, whether it be Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, there's always so many documentaries on World War II, but a lot of the World War II stuff, people tend to always automatically just jump over to where like Nazi Germany and the Third Reich over there and all that stuff. But you think of the Pacific Theater. That was the U.S. Navy and the Marines. I'm a huge Marine historian. I love reading about, everything that went on. And like the Pacific, though, it's just brutal. Once Pearl Harbor happened and, they start heading towards Midway and, we get over to Iwo Jima, Okinawa, all those areas, that was flat out the Marines. We see that monument, beautiful monument, of the Marines lifting that flag. And, that to me, that just gives me goosebumps, just seeing something like that. Anytime I think of it, all the valor, all that went along with what those men did in the 40s in World War II. Then you've got Korea, you've got Vietnam, and then you've got, the Gulf, Desert Storm, and then of course, global war on terror and Iraq. And the 1st Marine Division, if you guys aren't familiar with, they're fast. The 1st Marine Division, they were in Fallujah. When Iraq kicked off, they were there. And, and that would have been, 2003. Yeah, and I look at this and I think it doesn't seem like it was that long ago to me, but then in actuality, it's been 20-something years. When I was the war on terror, that was 2008, and it's just how bad the time flies by. There's a lot of really great guys, great men and women that served during these times that I got to know, and just I don't know, it's just something to share, the sense of brotherhood and things like that. It's really something neat, something that I don't even know how to explain it sometimes. I was speaking with somebody through comments the other day, and you hear about like a lot of the really fucked up stuff that happens in warfare and things like that. But then, there's a lot of really good times and things that happen too. The sense of brotherhood for starters. When you and your fire team or your platoon or whomever, you have some downtime. Either you might be working out, you might be cleaning up, you might be hurrying and trying to hurry and eat a MRE, grab something real quick to eat when you're at a fob. And just like the jokes and just the humor and stuff like that, it could get pretty dark at times, but it's just funny, just some of the stuff, and you think about and go, man, just how nuts that was back then. But I just want to say, it's a great day. It's a great day to share something like this with somebody. Marine Corps birthday, all you devil dogs out there. But I'm gonna keep it short on that topic. You've got some very brave people and people that were born to lead, and they had what it takes. And those are some other people that stand out. I don't know. I mean, put it this way, first deployment, you got these IEDs were really bad in 2008. Helmand Province was, it's the southern part of Afghanistan. It shares borders, it's nasty. You've got people that are coming in from other countries that are part of terrorist networks, stuff like that. You're riding in, you're terrified because you hear about all the bombs and things going off or whatnot. You're shaken and you're nervous. And then you've got an NCO who turns to you and goes, "Hey, what's bugging you?" Well, people have been getting blown up on this road or going out this direction, constantly. And, this NCO has this power where he can just say, "You know what, though? Look at it this way. You hit a mine, you hit an IED, whatever, you're going to be dead anyway, so why are you worrying about it? Worry about what we're going to do when you get to where we're going, and keep your mind focused on that." And it's almost like a transfer of courage in a sense. And I just think of some of the guys like that, and it amazes me because that moment sticks out in my mind. And it's like he's got a good point. Why are we scared of this? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's just being around guys like that, people like that. I mean, forever will they always be remembered. And the fact that you get to serve with somebody like that much, I don't know, just leadership, class, courage, everything you can think of. Huge honor, huge honor. So I just want to say it's an honor. All of it's a huge honor to get to be alongside these men and women. It's really, really something special to me. But 249 years. You listen to the Marine Corps hymn, the halls of Montezuma, shores of Tripoli, and the shores of Tripoli is a really interesting one because there were these kind of pirate cutthroats, going around causing mayhem in the Caribbean, Atlantic, all in that area. Well, the Marines assembled. They went right over to Tripoli, sailed right over, stopped, took out all these guys in their camp, got back on the boats, and came right back to the U.S. And just like that, so fast. And it's just, you just look at the force and the motivation and everything along that line. And and what's fun too, and what's neat is a lot of people don't know. They call each other leathernecks because they used to wear these nasty, just thick leather collars to protect their necks, bayonets and swords, things like that, back from 1700s, up until, or up through the 1800s a little bit. And that's kind of where that term came from. Devil dogs, another fun term, World War I, when there was a group of Marines that were just terrorizing the Germans in World War I, and called them the Hellhounds, Devil dogs. And so, you hear a lot of Marine Corps brethren when they speak to each other, or, when some people are pissed off at Marines, they call them Devil dogs. It doesn't matter. It's a well-earned title. But it's cool. It's cool to run into Marines. It's cool to interact with other guys, and there's a whole new generation and everything like that. And it's just crazy to think that at one point in your life you were that young. So, all you guys watching this replay later or whatnot, I'll stop with the sob and sappy stories now. But my experiences, those are just some pretty cool things, worth sharing, the good memories and stuff like that. But enough with that, the sob stuff. One thing I gotta say though, I love it, and not you guys that have known me on here for a while, the crayon eating and all this stuff. I mean, I take that one and I joke with it. You learn to joke with things and have thick skin or whatever the case is. I'll tell you one thing though. it'll make you hate M16s. I know that they've phased those out, they've moved on, but man, M16s, you know, as cool as they sound and as cool as they look, that's a fickle rifle. Um, you know, I mean, they were just really, Army and all them had already moved on to the M4s at the time. The M16, nobody ever used full auto because you just have so many damn problems all the time with them. And you know, it's crazy to think that here's this instrument of death or tool or whatever you want to call it, and yet it jams up, or you'd have issues with the recoil spring, your buffer would suck up. I mean, depending on what they were, but you know, they were cheap to manufacture. Stoner, you know, when he invented those in Vietnam, is kind of when they phased out all the other rifles, and the M16 came into place. But you know, at the same time, it's like, man, you know, when you've carried that rifle for so long, you're just so accustomed to it. And one of my favorite sayings of all time is, one of the most dangerous weapons in the world is a Marine with his rifle. And that couldn't be more true. The Marine Corps, every Marine's a rifleman. You know, you have your rank system, you have your privates. You know, starting out, you're a rifleman. That's what you're called. And so, you know, it's kind of neat, you know, to think like even the cook in the chow hall or whatever, you're out, you train, you shoot. And it definitely, there's some hella great shooters. It's, you know, and I always brag, and I always say straight up, you know, you've got all your scout snipers in the Marine Corps, best snipers in the world, best marksmen in the world. I mean, that's just how it is. But just things to think about. Makes me wonder though, like, you know, what is the training like nowadays for that stuff? I mean, what is the expectation of, like, if I was Casey, who's 18 nowadays, and I were to enlist, how everything's changed so much? Is it going to be the same thing that I grew up and came to love, or is this going to be something that's just been totally different? Or has it been damaged with all the weird, kind of strange woke stuff going on? You know, I mean, it's the toughest force on the planet. You don't have the greatest of equipment. Your budget's not the greatest, but you make do. And, you know, that's always been kind of what USMC's done, you know, ever since their inception. So it's, I don't know. I think about it. It's interesting. But tomorrow is Veterans Day. I've got some footage and things like that. One thing about Veterans Day, or, you know, anything to do with the military or the United States, that I love about living in South Dakota, is people are very patriotic here. I mean, you drive down Main Street here, which technically would be Pier Street or Sioux Street, depending which angles you're driving. You know, we have our lamp posts on each sides of the road, and then what's cool is off each side, they both have a banner, and it's hometown heroes. And so people, you know, born and raised and grew up in Pierre, South Dakota, depending whatever branch of military they're in, it'll have, you know, their military picture of them in their Sunday blues. And I don't know, I just really think it's cool. You know, it gives you a lot of pride. You're driving down the street and you see all this, and you see all these young kids now from this generation who've enlisted, and, you know, what they're currently serving and stuff like that. And, you know, the community really shows a lot of support for that. I always think that's a really cool, really neat thing. Really enjoyed that about living here. There's a lot of my footage you guys have seen in the Pierre State Capitol. So, you know, capital of South Dakota here. We have what's called Capitol Lake. My wife and I go for a walk around that almost every day. You know, late at nighttime, we always go for a walk before, you know, we turn in for the night and watch TV or whatever. You know, we talk about the kids, whatever, but we walk around that. They've got all these statues and memorials. We have the flaming fountain. Hey, thanks, Sonny. Thank you, sir. they have the Vietnam and the Korean memorial, and they have these beautiful big old slabs, and it has all the names of the people who served during that time from this era or whatnot. Uh, and I always walk past that, and then they have this kind of like a platform that goes out in the middle of the lake, and it's got it's got the sailors, it has the let's see, yeah, it's got your naval sailor, it's got your marine, it's got your soldier, it's got your the female naval nurses and corpsmen like statues, and they're all doing the salute and everything along that line. And it's cool because like every time I walk through that, I just got like this moment of pride just looking at this and thinking, stuff to be a part of, and a purpose and things like that. And like my kids, they talk about it all the time. My daughter, she wants to, I don't know, pursue a life in law enforcement, which is great. Doing a service. She's only 8, so there's still time to change on that. Or like my stepson wanting to be a Marine for Halloween to trick or treat, and it's things like that. And it's, I don't know, it just gives you a lot of pride. But I walk around this Capitol Lake area, and they've got the Marine Corps flag, the Navy flag, all the different branches except Space Force. Sorry guys, you didn't make the cut yet. But I don't know, it's just kind of a neat place. When I got married last summer, not this summer, this year, but the year before prior, it was actually, we got married out there on this lake, which was kind of cool. Not very many people get to do that, but so it's a special place to me. It's always going to be a place in my heart. And it's just something, it's just a lot of pride and the sense of brotherhood. But something I just don't share too often, but I felt like it's worth it. This is the type of memories and stuff worth talking about to people. So I don't know if you guys got family members or friends, or if you're serving on active duty still, or you're veterans or whatnot. Thank you guys as well out there for your sacrifice. It doesn't matter if you were working in the chow hall. It doesn't matter anything like that, man. It's you served this great country we have. So, but anyways, guys, before I get too teary-eyed here, some of the interesting things, like as far as with firearms go, now that that Trump is in office, maybe some of these restrictions that are ridiculous, like for instance, pistol braces for ARs for starters. When they tried to ban those and told us we all had to get tax stamps and all that junk on those, I just thought it's so ridiculous, because a pistol arm brace is not going to make a difference. And they say, oh well, if you don't get your tax stamps, guys, that's that's going to become, you're going to become a felon and all this shit or whatever. And I wonder how many people kept their pistol braces. I know a lot of states said they're not going to enforce it, and they think it's ridiculous. South Dakota being one of them. It's AR pistol. It's I've got mine, but between that, you've got the restrictions on suppressors. People think suppressors, I don't think they really understand. They think suppressors are like dead silent, and it's going to make the firearm more lethal. It'll cut back on recoil. It'll muffle the sound a little bit, mostly muffle the flash visually so people don't see it. But it doesn't change the fact. It doesn't change the firearm's function and operation. It's not going to make it faster. It's not going to make it, kill more people. And that's another, it's just ridiculous, quite frankly. And I'll tell you what, when I go shooting at the range and stuff, if I'm doing rifles, most of the time I go suppressed, man. And the reason I do it is because I don't need that loud noise, for starters. Number two, if I have a suppressor hooked up to my AR that I keep at home or whatnot, why am I not going to practice with it that way? I don't know. It's just stuff like that. People think something is funny and ridiculous and silly is the Hornady critical defense rounds that I like to use. I've showed you guys, in fact, I'm not going to show you the actual ammo, but show you the packaging. The ones that come in those, they've got that red tip. The red tip on it is just, it's a rubbery polyurethane. It melts off once the bullet's fired. That red tip does not make that bullet any more dangerous or crazy or whatever. It's just a simple hollow point round. I've seen politicians on here. If you look, I have those Biden awards, and that's all politicians that say dumb shit about guns that don't make any sense. One of them, the lady was saying, these red tips make them heat-seeking, blah, 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 or whatever. And I just crack up by that. I mean, I think, do you know how much those bullets would cost for starters if that were possible? And if that was the case, dude, I'd be stocking up on those things so fast. Are you kidding me? Man, my groupings would be badass. I mean, like, I'd be the best marksman ever. But, ridiculous stuff like that, or people talking about, I mean, clearly they've never fired a firearm. I sometimes truly think the United States, like, for politicians or for a lot of the civil servants or anything along that line, they need to have at least, like, served some sort of mandatory military time maybe, or like at least shot a gun, something along that line, so they can actually comment about what they're talking about. It's like, for instance, I've had this fascination with organized crime and the mob or whatnot, and there's a whole subgenre here that, I used to read about and kind of follow up. And it would be like me, who has never lived in New York a day in my life, trying to talk about like some guys, and like I watch Goodfellas too much or something like that. It's like, okay, dude, you didn't live in New York during those times. You never lived in New York during those times. Casey, you're not even Italian. So what are you doing commenting on this? And I mean, like, that's kind of like the same thing in my mind. It's like, if you've never gone shooting, you've never shot a firearm, and you don't know what you're talking about, probably shouldn't talk about it. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But that's going to be a common hypocrisy. We're going to see our entire lives, and that's politicians for you, anyways. So there's that. Another thing with Trump in office, I'm curious of. Hopefully, and it's mainly because I enjoyed making them. It's not the fact, I was trying to circumvent laws and all that crap, but like your P80s, P80 pistols, or 80% frames, or your 80% lower receivers. Those things are fun as hell to make, and it's I bought a few billets. I have a couple still. I got a bunch of all that stuff. I loaded up on it, but it's fun to make your own gun, and it's like, damn, dude, that's pretty cool. With it, and all you needed was like a drill press. I just have my little drill press. It's like $180, nothing fancy. But I always get such a kick out of it because so many people are always like, oh, I made my AR-15 custom and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. How'd you do that? Did you drill it out, or what exactly did you do? And all they're really talking about is just putting different accessories on it. I mean, anybody can go buy the Magpul, go buy some MOE, get your M-Lock grips and all that stuff. Sure, switching it out. But like when you've actually drilled your own and made your own, dude, it's kind of fun. It's cool. And I got a bunch of 1911 frames too that I still haven't done anything with, and I'm looking to do something with those soon. I can't obviously show you how to do it on YouTube because they bitch if I even try to put an iron sight on a rifle on here, for crying out loud. But I don't know. It'd be cool if the restrictions on that got lifted. The whole ghost gun thing is the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it's oh, they're just going to flood the streets with more guns and all this stuff. Oh, whatever. Most people that have firearms, and even people that aren't supposed to have firearms that have them, they're still going to have them. If you've ever been to any foreign country other than the United States, you'd probably know that criminals are always going to find guns. That's all there is to it. And all you're doing is disarming the people, who should legally be able to have them, who are citizens, who are law abiding, should not infringe, but they do. But I don't know. We'll see on that one. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, here's the crazy thing. Trump, he's been shot at, I don't know, a bunch of times now. You guys, everybody, I'm sure heard of the assassination with the Iranians or something like that. They've detained two of them. One of them's still out and about or whatever. But I mean, here it's just like Ronald Reagan. Here's a guy that got shot. He's still saying, hey, Second Amendment, guys. You got to leave it be. That's not something to mess with. So, and you get people from other countries thinking, what the hell is with Americans and their guns? Why do they like them so much and whatnot? Well, it's our right. It's number two on the list there. Number one on the list there is my right to complain about all the other shit. So guess what? And the fact is, the way I look at it too, if you don't vote, you really don't have any room to go and complain and bitch about stuff. And a lot of you guys might, I know a lot of you guys on here have heard me. I may not like Trump, but at the same time, I'm still a Republican or whatever. There's a lot of liberal points of view that I might have. I have kind of a balance. I'm not far to the left or far to the right. But fact is just because I'm not doesn't mean other people shouldn't be allowed to. If you want to, I could care less. If somebody's more conservative than me, good. That's their point of view, their lifestyle, and they're allowed to think that. To the left, same thing. It's like I tell a lot of people after almost every live before I sign off, I say, your guys' comments are always welcome here. Opinions are always welcome as long as they're respectful. If you don't like guns, that's okay. You go ahead and comment as long as it's in a respectful manner. Now, do debates on YouTube ever end with any real victor or any middle ground, common ground, or reasonable outcome? No. Debates on YouTube always end up with one person saying they smoked the other person and won, and then the other person saying they smoked the other person and won, and whomever is the supporters of each say the same. I mean, it's funny. So when you sit at that and you step outside and you look at it from the outside in, it's just like, oh, okay, kind of a waste of time. But like as far as people that don't like firearms, my question, the one thing I really like to ask about this is why? Now, it's an instrument of death. Yeah, sure. It's a gun. Yeah, it's a weapon. Yeah. That's what it's for. It's a tool for killing. It's as simple as that. That's what guns are for. Now, do you have to use it for that, though? No. Are there other things you can do besides shoot people? Yeah. Go out and shoot clay pigeons. Practice. Go to the range. I don't know about you guys, but man, when I'm like had a shitty day at work or something along that line, like you go to the range, you're focused on that target, you're shooting, your mind's cleared, man, and it's just you're trying to hit a good grouping. It's like you're not shooting out of anger, you're just focused on it, man. You purge your mind of all the stress, and then it's like relaxed and sweet. And it's since I quit drinking alcohol, I'll tell you what, that's been a fantastic thing for me to do therapeutically. Go out, shoot some clay pigeons, or go out and shoot a target. And it's like I'd also mentioned in an earlier live, if you're a vegetarian, it doesn't mean you have to be against guns. It doesn't mean you have to be a hunter. I mean, you should still be able to protect yourself and not have to worry about eating meat. But, that's just, point of views of mine. I believe it or not, you guys might get a kick out of this one. My wife's a vegetarian. I'm out hunting and doing all that, and she's cool with it. Doesn't care. We have guns and whatever. But it's Second Amendment's a pretty great thing, and that rolls right back to tomorrow. You've got all the people that help make that happen. Big day for them. I think about my time and I think of recent events, but then, I look back at colonial times and, the men that said screw this, no taxation without representation, and wanted the revolution and everything along that line. Those guys, that took some mad balls. Because here's the thing. I mean, one of the biggest things you could have back then would be if you owned land. That gave you power, that gave you money, that gave you influence. um, you know, John Adams and founding fathers. Excuse me, sorry. Um, you've got these guys who they had a lot to lose. I mean, and it wasn't just like, oh, they would do time in jail or be held or whatnot for the revolution. These guys, it was execution for treason to the crown. Um, I mean, can you imagine being the diplomat who, okay, here's our terms, letters to King George or whatnot at the time, and hop on a ship, sail out to England, go to deliver this message that the United States wants to. Yeah, I mean, you're in their country, you're in open rebellion, and you've got the balls to go over to their house, knock on their door, and say, "Hey, we're breaking off from you." I mean, that took guts. Washington, that took guts. I mean, leading a military campaign against a very well provisioned military United Kingdom, because it was the British Empire, and British Empire, the sun never sets on the British Empire. That's how big it was. They had all the money, the East India Trading Company. I mean, and these guys are like, screw this, we're not taking it anymore, and raise up in arms. And you had that beautiful idea that we have as being Americans came to be, and just regular farmhands, ranchers, whatever, cobblers, all picked up, armed up, joined the fight, and they could have lost everything. They had to worry about, okay, will I die? Will my family be okay? But they were doing it for their families too. It's I don't know. I admire it. I truly do. I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but like the 4th of July, Independence Day, is my favorite holiday by far. And the reason why I always tell everybody this is because all the rest of these holidays we get to celebrate is because of that day. Um, our country, having been to other countries in the world, you look at our country, you can be Christian, you can be Jewish, you can be Muslim, you can be Hindu, you can be whatever religion you want, pagan, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be persecuted or ostracized for it. No, people have their personal opinions, but as far as the government goes, you're protected as a person. You go to, for instance, you go over, look at the Middle East. If you're Jewish, you leave Israel, you're pretty much death sentence anywhere you step foot. Or, you've got people that they have to be a religion or they're going to get executed or whatever. But here in the United States, we get to do what we want. And, I think that's pretty neat right then and there. I'm not a religious guy, but the fact is I think people should be able to practice their religions. That's their right, man. So I don't know. These are some great thoughts. We'll end it with that. But all you Devil Dog brothers out there, man, love you guys. Yeah, Semper Fi.